Okay, cool. So now we're going to get to the main topic of our presentation, phenomenology.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I have to give you some background on Kant, as I said, because it's going to be hard to understand unless we know some of these basics. So, didn't mean to go that far. So, Kant's Copernican Revolution, that's sort of the main idea we want to understand. So the Copernican Revolution was like just like Copernicus changed how we look at the sun and the earth. Kant changed how we looked at subject and object, where previously reality was coming from the object and we just perceived it exactly as it was. And for Kant, there's like the subject plays some role in forming the outside world, or at least forming how it appears to us. So this is from the Critique of Pure Reason, Kant's first major work. This is like the real like metaphysical innovation, the philosophical innovation that he introduces. So basically, we do not know things in themselves. Our scientific knowledge applies to appearances only. Yeah. So, like if you have the apple, previously you just had you just see the apple as it is. But in Kant's system, like you actually play a role in the subject plays a role in forming and constructing space and time and constructing how the apple appears to us. So the common analogy here is that you're wearing like a pair of glasses or something, and then those glasses sort of filter, or that schema sort of filters the object as you perceive it. So here he's looking at the apple and he doesn't just see the apple itself, he sees this like schema of space and time. So space and time are sort of conditions for any object to appear to the subject. So it's like these concepts that precede experience that are necessary for our experience as it appears.
But even if I don't have the concept of apple, I still see apple as an entity.
Yeah, exactly. But like he's saying that the way we experience reality in general is is formulated in terms of space and time, and the subject plays a role in constructing that structure, that format in which things appear. So so it's like these spectacles that, like, space and time isn't something external to us. It's like this. It's sort of like these glasses that accompany us all the time. This way of seeing things that is necessary to our perception of the outside world. So he's saying that space and time is just the only way that we could experience things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the necessary format for in which things have to appear.
Appear to us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But things already exist.
Yes.
Even without him.
Yeah, so this is what Kant introduces is, more technically, it's called a separation between the phenomenal, the appearances, and the noumenal realm. And the noumenal is like the essences, how they are in themselves. So the essences like still exist, like there are objects out there, but just the way they appear, like we only see the phenomena. We only see like some form of appearance that attaches to this object. And space and time, which is the way we experience all objects, is basically an attribute of the subject in a way. It's like a pair of glasses that they wear. So the key idea is that scientific knowledge, and in this regard, Kant was mainly thinking of Newtonian physics. That's why I had like the apple, because it like represents Newton. But basically, that scientific knowledge of physics only applies to appearances. It's not a science of essences. It's only it's a study of what these glasses are like. What
studies the glasses?
Physics, like natural science. It's the study of it's just an extrapolation on this format of space and time, and we're able to have like consistent like mathematical knowledge of external space, because it's just a format in which things appear, and it has like mathematical qualities inherently. Yeah. So the question is, why would you think like this? So the reason is that Kant believes only through this type of separation can you have both physical laws and moral laws. Like, it wouldn't make sense if, like, the science of Newtonian physics applied to things in themselves, because then, like, all of the world would behave mechanistically.
Doesn't it?
Well, it can't, because then Kant would believe we wouldn't have moral laws. Like, freedom would be impossible. In order to have a moral subject, we must have freedom.
I don't get the relationship between physics and freedom here.
Like we occupy the external world, right? We know that from experience. Like, we occupy the physical world. Yeah, so, like, as far as we know, like, all humans, which we also see as subjects, just also interact with this physical world and can act as agents within it. But we also sense that we have freedom, right? Yeah, that we're able to freely choose how to interact with this world. So Kant is wondering, how is that possible if Newtonian physics explains the interactions of all things in the outside world? And his solution to that was to say that there are actually two worlds. There's a phenomenal world and there's a noumenal world. And physics applies to the phenomenal world, the way things appear. But in
what's the other world?
The noumenal world, that has to do with things' essences.
Oh, I think I have an explanation how physics can explain moral world. So let's not limit ourselves to Newtonian physics. Let's just say, like, physics. Take physics. I think physics did, like, all go down to quark and, like, those particles, and then it determines how chemistry works, and then how biology works, and then how our mind works.
Okay, we're gonna get into these explanations. So, and we're gonna get into why it's impossible as well. Okay, you're jumping ahead. You're being a bad student. Okay, jumping ahead. And again, he didn't know about relativistic physics or anything. He was just trying to, like, Newton sort of shook things up metaphysically, and he was just trying to explain, like, how can we be both rational moral actors and also, like, justify the, like, legitimacy of Newtonian physics, which is clearly legitimate in some sense. And for him, like, metaphysics required this kind of separation between the realm, the phenomenal, and the noumenal, which becomes for him a separation between, like, basically physical laws, mechanical laws, which only apply to the world of appearances, and moral laws, which applies to things in themselves, like ourselves as essences.
So is this a little outdated then, since it didn't take all the physics into consideration?
Well, so the philosophers we're going to get to are taking relativistic physics into consideration.
Like Husserl?
Yes.
But he didn't know all the physics.
No, he did. They were following Einstein.
Yeah,
he was a mathematician.
Right now, the physics is also beyond Einstein's discoveries.
Yeah, but even back then, he was looking for, like, a foundation that was in line with Kant.
Is there any current philosopher who aligns, who, like, continue to develop this subject?
Kant?
Yeah.
Yeah, Heidegger and
No,
Derrida.
he is already dead.
Derrida.
Is he alive?
He died in the 90s.
Okay, so, like, any
2000s.
current philosopher who is up with the most recent
some of the philosophers I met at Notre Dame, okay? Okay, I just think this system has some legitimacy. So anyways, physical laws and moral laws, there's a separation between them. This is how Kant thought we could have both freedom and mechanistic causality. Does that make sense? Even whether you believe it or not, do you at least see why it was, like, a legitimate attempt to justify both?
Because they belong to different worlds?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay,
There's a different principle of causality in appearances and in essences.
Okay, I guess if I put myself in Kant's era, yeah, this would make sense.
Okay, yeah, and it made sense to a lot of people because he became the metaphysical system that underlies all
I
science.
just feel like this is a little outdated now.
Okay. Well, whatever you think, it was very influential, just historically. Okay.
Yeah, historically.
Okay, so we got the Copernican Revolution. We have a more complicated Kantian subject
Okay.
next.